For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today you guys a bit of a review video on a brand new product from Outdoor Revolution. So with me here today I've got the Outdoor Revolution Campstar 900 DSE. So what this essentially is, in many words, it's almost like a stripped back version of one of Outdoor Revolution's probably most popular tents, which is the Airedale 9 DSE. So the concept is very much similar, but it's definitely more price pointed, shall we say, than necessarily spec. So it's all about giving the same kind of sort of similar size, but maybe not sort of the elaborate features that we come and know and love with the likes of the Airedale. So in principle, this kind of design for me is almost a new version of a kind of like dome tent. We have like a middle central area and then pods off the sides. The new kind of Campstar range has been around for about 3 years now, so back since sort of 2019. And going forward, 23 going forward, we've got a really nice new colour, but the same kind of level of specification. So we're looking at around about a 70D material, or 120 HDE is Outdoor Rev's claim. And then what they also then say, it's a 3000mm high shredded head. So again, it's a decent level of waterproofness for certainly something that's more price orientated. So what we've got here is basically 2 pods that come off the side, a main central kind of living area, sleeping area directly at the back, and also you can use the side pods as kind of sleeping compartments as well, and a really generous front canopy area. It's worth mentioning they do a smaller version of this, with essentially when you get sort of one double side pod, which is the 7SE, so same near enough in every single way, except you lose the side pod on this part here. Now, in terms of principle, it's very quick, simple and easy to pitch. I pitched this model on my own in the best part of about 12-13 minutes, and you can check out our own Attwoolls pitching packing video of me physically doing this to give you a bit more of an idea about how easy it really does go up. It's inflatable, so you've got a really nice beam construction throughout the whole of the tent, apart from the side pods where they've kind of, again, to make it more price savvy, we've got fiberglass poles which kind of give you that extra bit. So you insert those afterwards, but it's no hardship really. We've got Outdoor Revolution sort of dynamic valves, it's a really nice kind of like dinghy style valve, and all of that is located neatly down the bottom there with extra caps to seal it. So because you've got necessarily quite a big valve itself, you can press it in, get the air out and in quite simply. A manual stirrup pump comes supplied as standard, but you can also look to upgrade that or even go for electric pump if you wish to do so. Naturally, because it sits on more of the price point range, it's quite surprising you do get some level of specification with that. So we've got a really nice big mesh side door located that gives you access directly into the living area, but also like all of the bottom points around here are most like webbing straps, so you can pull them and get a bit more tension. So it's nice to see that level of specification as well. We've got obviously like a kind of teal coloured guide points which match kind of the branding and the trim around the bottom. So admittedly they're probably not the easiest to see, but there is a slight flinter to them which hopefully should reflect off when you have a torch. If this tent for any reason isn't large enough, you can actually buy a little sun canopy at the front, which again gives you a little more versatility, and that actually just toggles in place rather than actually zips. So you still get the kind of thoroughness, fit, but not necessarily without, again, price point in that point of view. Comes as standard in one bag as well, and again you can see anything from like the pack sizes and pack weights via the link below this video that'll take you through to that. So overall, it's quite a nice, very spacious tent, that's then more price orientated. One thing to bear in mind as well is the fact that we've got you know, a decent amount of ventilation, maybe not quite as high level as you see with the Airedales, but ventilation points above sort of the bedroom section, so the side pod here, the back section as well, and the same going forward into the opposite side. We'll swing the camera around a bit later in the video to have a look at that, where we can see the access door that you've got into the opposite side bedroom. That one's a sealed end, basically because it comes as standard with a bedroom. The front is kind of really nicely set up that you can be a bit more versatile, so you can have it sort of third, 2/3 or fully open. You have got a secondary zip, and the door's designed to go sort of from right to left in terms of where it opens. But there is a secondary zip located here, so you can create a little bit more of a rando of taking it all the way down and folding it over if you see fit. One thing I do quite like actually about the front itself is the fact that you've got little buckles situated directly in line with the panel, so you can roll it back, toggle it back a little bit. In fact, let's give that a little bit of a whirl. So Velcro helps to sort of seal the baffle up. There's a little clip located down there quite nicely to keep that neat and tidy, so when you want to have the zip in place, it will feed round into the right location. So again, you can bring that back halfway, roll that back, so a third back, roll it back. You can go 2/3, do the same thing again, but these are the buckle clips I was referring to, where it just allows you to clip the panel in place and takes the strain off the zips quite nice and neatly. So we can go down all the way and roll the front door fully open to the side. It's also worth mentioning there are actually a curtain supplied for there. If you want that complete sealed up front, you can happily do so, and it's the same on the side as well. And we'll have a bit more of a look into that in just a moment. We'll just take this front door back a little bit. I've probably pegged it a little bit too well, but that's by the by. So it's designed that you've got kind of some toggle points located here, and they are generally kind of a bit more oversized to allow you to do so. I'm going to be a bit lazy if I'm being honest with you. I'm just going to tuck that in the corner to sort of open up the front a little bit more. You've got two main strap points, points here that helps give additional tension to the roof. And that's also replicated on the back side as well, just to kind of again make it look a bit sharper from that element of things. One thing also to notice that the sliders are quite easy sliders, so you can adjust and get extra tension on it around to sort of repeg it. So it's quite I wouldn't say like a dynamic slider, but something to the extent of that. But I'll tell you what, we'll swing the camera around, have a look straight down into the tent, and talk for a load more features that this new campsite has to offer. So now when swung ourselves around and we look at down the front of the tent, you can appreciate the width we've got in here. Overall it's quite a generous width, around the region sort of 440 wide, 450 wide, so it's a good spacious side. Admittedly, probably in comparison to some other models, it's probably a touch lower in terms of the way it feels. I mean, certainly for me, standing up in the middle, it's not too bad, but it's when you get to the corners, you see that sort of slope coming through. I think that's where you do notice it a little bit, but admittedly, the probably beams are a little bit upright, so when you've got things like a cooker unit or sort of tables, you could get them a bit closer to the edge itself. Now, naturally, because the door opens up from sort of right to left as the camera looks at it there, what you find is you're almost creating a bit of dead space naturally here, which is more than often where your kitchen's going to go. And that's replicated mainly because this panel here is solid. The door into that said section can open up, so you can obviously have it so you have more of a central area. And again, that can toggle nice and neatly back. And there's a little bit of low sculpture, so you haven't got so much of a trip hazard coming in and out the actual tent itself. And you've got mesh parts on either side of the actual sort of opening itself here. So this being fixed, again, you can position it sort of halfway or fully up, and it's all toggled as with all the windows in here. So an example of this is here. We can see it's fully toggled up the top. And what you can do is there are a lower level toggle point that drops it down. So it brings it down halfway like that, or failing of course, you can just roll it down to the bottom. There's a little toggle retainer at the bottom there. It's not quite as thorough as it, but again, from a price point of view, it does help. Again, it's one of those things of giving you your key features without necessarily compromising on sort of going, taking them out really. You've got your functionality, but not necessarily a top end level of things. This door again can neatly open fully up, and then you've got a zip all the way around, so it's a real thorough way of making sure the bugs don't come in or out, certainly when you've got the mesh part into it. And again, like with the front door, you can roll it out, roll it back all the way, and then toggle it back. So it helps to make the front section flow a bit more nice and neatly into the main living area, so it gives you a bit more usable space for living. Naturally, again, a good sort of size in the main sort of living area. Works really quite nicely. As standard, the tent comes with a footprinted carpet, part of a package deal that has been bundled together. The door which we saw from the outside obviously is located in here, and that's going to be the only door really outside in this main living area. One thing you can notice is actually what we have is almost like the pre-angled beams to like I said earlier, give a little bit more height. There's a Velcro related here for the up and down lights, so you can give internal lighting without taking up any internal headspace. What you can do, there is little Velcro tabs leading up to kind of a main point here, so you can hang a lantern from there and then run the mains cable down to whichever side you pretty much want. So you can go also sort of up and down from either side. And one thing you've also got is where you're most likely going to utilise the door more of a kind of a cable entry point, as I believe you can also then feed it directly into the side pods if you really wanted to. Now, even though it's saying it's a 900, for me I'd say it's more of a true probably 8 or a comfy 7. And so what I'm saying is we've got, inherently it's meant to be as 7 at the back and 2 in the side pod. So what you can do is you're meant to be 2, 3 and 2. Now I see this really personally as a master 2, being about 160 wide, another generous sort of 2 berth, 140 wide, and then sort of single or a generous single or a very, very tight 2 berth that side. So if you're using 6 at the back here with an additional 2 there, I think that works really nicely. We've got a slightly darker tint on the bedroom as well to hopefully cut out a bit more of early morning light. It's not going to be the level of blackout, but it's just going to help nevertheless. And then you've got toggle dividers between all the sections, so if you want to, you can open up fully if you wanted to have it as a 4 and a 2, 2 and a 4 or 5, or however you want to go. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. And so we'll bring the camera inside in just a moment. A good sort of depth, and it's sculpted around the back as well to try and make that back wall as vertical as possible. And you've got little things like pockets located down the bottom, as well as little cable points down there to bring electrics directly into the bedroom itself. At the back of each bedroom, you've got a hanging point for a lantern as well, just to help you have a little bit of light without having to worry about using torches for that matter. The side pod, as standard, comes included with this, so this is where you could be that extra bedroom if you want to be. Gives you the flexibility of not having to take up internal living space to sleep additional people, and you can happily get a double bed in there or take it out and have extra bit of storage. The one on this side over here doesn't come with a bedroom standard, but you can buy it additionally. It's the same bedroom they use for their Airedale range, so again that works really quite nicely. But really this is more meant for your storage point of view, or you upgrade to a bedroom. And like I said earlier, it's got its own door as well, so you can come and go as you please if you really need to. In fact, let's kind of pick the camera up, get a bit more of a feel for it up close and personal. So the first thing you probably see is the depth of kind of the canopy. You've got windows on there, like I said, which toggle up quite nice and neatly. And even here, you've got a hanging point for a lantern if you want to as well. And again, the Velcro tabs for the up and down lighters. You also, actually, it's worth mentioning, have got in the main living area is additional eyelets located here, or rings, should we say. That's designed basically for the oxygen tube pockets, which you can quite easily add to help you give yourself extra storage without having to worry about taking up actual floor space. And you've got a low level ventilation point beneath that window as well to help increase airflow, which for me, you want to have open all the time because there's not the massive amount of air ventilation in here, just really above the bedrooms all the way around. But low-wise, that's going to be the only real point, apart from, of course, the mesh panels directly into the main living area, as we can see here. Side door with mesh sides, again, that's going to be more your open kind of space. Works really smartly. You get a little bit of a baffle on the point there to allow you to overlap the ground sheet in the front section, just to make it a bit more nicer. And then you can probably appreciate the actual bedroom layout we've got here. So like I said, we've got that smaller 2 berths to the left, the larger in the middle, and then that sort of ample size to the right, each with their own sort of storage pockets from the side point of view. And you can probably see the little zip located there as well, just to give a little bit more of that cable entry point. Hanging points in all the bedrooms, and you can see a bit of slightly lighter at the back of it as well. And we're looking at kind of toggle dividers, so you can obviously see, gives you an element of privacy, but it's not complete, but the flexibility to take it out when you really, really want to. But that being a master bedroom, I think works really quite nicely. In the side pod, which obviously was the one that's standard with the bedroom, you've got a door on the bedroom pod itself, which basically clips in additionally, or actually the physical door itself. So again, that works really nicely as well. And then even though there's a physical door in the inner, there's not one actually in the actual tent itself. One thing I think is a bit peculiar is that you've got a cable entry point at the back here, which means you have to feed it directly all the way through if you want to have it into the main section. Alternatively, of course, you can use this other side pod, which doesn't have the bedroom in standard, but you can buy one. You've got your rear door built into there, and again, there's a little cable entry point directly through, which subsequently you would feed directly into the main area. But you still got your privacy door again as it is there. So overall, again, low sculpted bedrooms in and out, so you haven't got to worry about trip hazard, and a standard sort of 10cm beam, so it's a decent sized beam for stability. As we kind of come out and have a round of it, you can probably get a bit more of a better idea of how it can look and how this other side looks quite smartly. So you've got that sort of 2-bay section located there. The extra sort of, we'll call it a double-side annex, or double extension as they call it. Fiberglass pole, nice and easy to feed. You've got adjustable points down the bottom so you can quite get attention as you see fit. That low level ventilation point initially there as well. And the bedroom poles just kind of quite simply clip directly onto it. Around the back, we've got a nice big kind of opening, and again, we kind of sit ourselves directly back here. You can appreciate that double side pod, so naturally from a pitch side of views, it's definitely going to be quite generous. But naturally, probably from the guide points, it does come out quite a bit. So you have to be semi-careful that you want like an XL pitch really with this. It's probably not going to quite fit on a standard pitch. But if you're going to sort of like the farm field, depending on where you go, of course, you should have a problem. Where we went previously, it's just kind of pay per person regardless of how big the tent is. And then that's the mesh door directly in, so the only mesh door on it. And I think for the size it is, for the specification, I think it ticks a lot of boxes. It's a very big tent, straight up. But also for having that using that level of fabric that they have with the 70D, naturally it makes the tent a little bit more manageable, should we say, from sort of moving it, packing it, the pack size of it. When you compare it to the Airedale, I'd say in the region of 20%, 30, maybe even 25% smaller in terms of its volume and weight, just because you haven't got that level of material and things like the extra zips and all that does tend to add up. I think it does tick the box for those who want something that's kind of sizable, maybe hasn't quite the budget. It's still, not expensive, but it's still kind of, about the 1.5 mark, there or thereabouts for something this size. But tends to gradually have got more and more expensive as we go, just because natural manufacturing costs have gone up, there's more workmanship involved, everything's all handmade, so inherently there's a human error element to everything really. But I think it ticks a lot of boxes. Certainly one we look to have up in some sort of capacity at our showroom, where it be kind of the Kalahari, i.e. the polycotton version. This one sits even above the Airedale, so you can get the concept of it, and then we'll have a camp star so you can see the fabric and have a kind of crossover so you can really get a feel for the product itself. But of course, if you have more questions, queries, or want any more information on spec, features, pack sizes, weight, and also the pitching video, you're welcome to check the link below this video, take you straight through the website. We have all that information at a touch of a button, as well as obviously more in-depth photos as well. And if you have any questions or queries, do feel free to come back to us directly. Comment in the box below. We always love to hear from you guys and what you think, whether you like it, whether you think it needs improvement. It's always great to have sort of feedback from yourselves as well. But that's kind of our little video review on the brand new Campstar 900 DSE from Outdoor Revolution.